And everyone. Tonight we have another opportunity to continue the legal hour program. I'm doing immigration today, and this program is going to be in Chi, obviously, tomorrow on Wednesday, the same time from 9 p.m. onwards. MC Chaka will be here to host the show, and we'll have the same discussion in Chi. So those of you who may want to listen to this program again in Chi, we can join at the same time tomorrow. Yes, I always say that this program is always about you. It's about uncovering those mysteries, bringing the law to your doorstep, making sure that you understand most of the laws, especially in the UK, so that you can rely on those laws quite validly and obviously achieve a purpose in your life. Now, so tonight I'm going to look at quite a distinct topic by looking at how one can obviously obtain indefinite leave to remain within 3 years. And also, how one can go about even sponsoring their dependents. And by dependents, I mean partner or spouse and children under the age of 18. By looking at some of the categories of the sponsorship worker scheme. But I'm looking at quite an exceptional one, which is the global talent tonight. But most of these schemes have a lot in common. So if you have just joined me tonight, I want to urge you to share the video with your friends and family members, because I'm sure somebody somewhere needs to have this information. Now, I think yesterday someone called me and he said, "Lawyer, I watched your YouTube channel. You had a discussion about adoption. My sister passed away. She left 2 vulnerable children. I have adopted them. I have combed around looking for proper legal advice and how to bring them to this country. And when I watched your YouTube discussion, I realized that everything I needed there was discussed. And it was so self-explanatory that I now know what to do. This is what CITI Law Solicitors brings to you. That's what I'm going to do tonight. There's some people out there who are so talented and have the opportunity to make use of this particular scheme, but they are not aware that this scheme is in place. So I am going to take my time gradually to explain to people how this scheme came about, and eventually, obviously, to make it quite easy for you to understand, so that you can rely upon it to migrate. And if you're already here and you want to switch, you can also equally do so. So guys, just don't go away as I go on this short commercial break, obviously to allow you guys to prepare yourself for this season topic. This is one of its kind, where you can get your indefinite leave to remain within a matter of 3 years. So please don't go away. Thank you for your patience. Yes, as I said for my intro, tonight I am here to take opportunity of the moment to explain to viewers the Global Talent Scheme, which is more or less a parallel program to the skilled worker scheme. So tonight I'm here to take my time to explain to viewers how they can rely on this particular scheme to migrate either from abroad or if they are living in the UK to switch from one category to the other. Now, this program, which is the Global Talent Scheme, has been in place since February 2020. So you realize that as soon as we left the EU, this program came into place to extract talent from different fields to the UK. And this scheme, just like the skilled worker scheme, have been in place for more than 2 years, but only few people normally make use of this scheme. And tonight I am here to explore with you how you will be able to take advantage of a scheme, because the most significant aspect of this scheme is the route to indefinite leave to remain, which in most cases can be just 3 years. So I'm going to take my time to explain to viewers how one can do that. Now, first and foremost, we all know that if you want to make application under a skilled worker scheme, there are certain requirements to satisfy. Now, with this Global Talent Scheme, the initial requirements that one needs to satisfy is laid out within the powers of endorsing body. Now, so there are categories of bodies that one will make an application to. And if those applications are accepted, that endorsing body then endorses that person's application. So there are 2 stages in this process. The first stage is making an application for recognized endorsing body, which Home Office recognized and has been laid out or have been given recognition by Home Office. So here you find out that just like those of you who have come through the skilled worker scheme, especially healthcare workers, you realize that the employer has been given more or less a franchise. So the employer undertakes the internal recruitment, the interviews, and eventually offers employment to the candidate. And then once that employer have issued certificate of sponsorship to that candidate, the candidate will then be entitled to make an application to come to the UK, including coming along with dependents, namely wife or children under the age of 18. Now, in contrast to the Global Talent, which has appended Global Talent Scheme, here you don't need an employer. You are not going to be tied to an employer. However, your application first needs to be accepted by an endorsing body. So it is that body that will endorse your application. And once that application has been endorsed, you have satisfied 90% of the requirements. Now, I like making comparisons because I've already compared the Global Talent Scheme to Skilled Worker Scheme, where the employer is the sponsor. It's the employer that issues the certificate of the sponsorship to the candidate, which then allows the candidate to then make the application to come to the UK by meeting certain laid out requirements. Now, with this scheme, you don't need an employer to issue certificate of sponsorship. Rather, you need an endorsing body to endorse your application. And our list of recognized endorsing bodies laid out who are in charge of endorsing most of these applications. And I can go into it later. So once the application has been endorsed by these endorsing bodies, 90% of success is already achieved. Now, if you permit me, I can give, I would love to do stuff in detail. I can give some of the list of the endorsing bodies that are in charge of most times doing this endorsement for those who may want to apply under that route. So we have various endorsing bodies like Arts Council in England, we have British Academy, we have the Royal Academy of Engineering, we have the Royal Society, we have the Research and Innovation, and then we have Technician. So we have these listed endorsing bodies who are in charge of, so it doesn't matter whether, in fact, I don't want to confuse you, so I want to deal with this in turn by looking at those who are abroad. And then I will look at those who are also living in this country who want to take advantage of this scheme. Now, so if, for example, you are living abroad, maybe Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, any part of the world, America, and in fact, even if you are living in the European Union, because now UK is not a member of the European Union, it's not a member state. So you guys say need to make some of these care worker applications, and that's why we have shortage of labor. This morning I was reading the Financial Times, and there is one thing that I realized is that irrespective of the Chancellor's statement and the fact that interest rate is galloping, we still have unemployment falling so drastically. Why? Because we have an aging population in the UK. Secondly, because of COVID in 2020, most people who were on furlough, especially those who were very old and getting to their 60s or their pension age, have decided not to come back to the labor market. These gaps needs to be filled, and sadly, because we are no longer in the European Union, there is no free movement of labor and services. There are now a lot of restrictions even for Europeans migrating here to work. For example, most of them cannot meet the English language requirement, so they can't come in. Right. But tonight I'm doing something quite distinct. So if you want to take advantage of this program, which is this global talent, I have listed some of the endorsing bodies that are in charge of endorsing your application. It means that you first need to submit application to these bodies who will then approve this application. Now, so if, for example, you are living abroad, Ghana, Nigeria, any part of the world, and you want to make application to any of these endorsing bodies, you can make your application, which is online application, just like most of you apply for universities and come to the UK to study and get a certificate of admission of studies, which allows you to come in as a student and obviously come with your dependents, which I'm sure the Home Secretary is now alleging that some countries are coming with huge dependents, so they're going to look into it to say that people might come with just one dependent or two dependents. But that's not where I'm going tonight. So you make your application online, just like you're making an application for to come and study, to these endorsing bodies who will then give you an approval. Now, the cost of this application is as low as £456. So once one has made application to this endorsing body and has been given an approval, that person can then make an application online. Now, I started by saying that because of the restriction of English requirement, most member states of the European Union, such as Germany, Italy, France, and Spain, all these major states who don't speak English can't even come in as engineers. So if you are living abroad and you want to come in as someone who falls within any of these categories, including those of you living in Africa, the advantage here is that for this particular scheme, there is no English language requirement. Now, when I say the English language requirement, most of you already know that it is the B1 certificate where one needs to have the 4 components: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. 4. So with this scheme, there is no English language requirement. So the essential requirement is getting that approval from the endorsing body and paying the relevant application fee of £456. Quite low. Now, what happens? I'm still looking at those who are living abroad. I will come to those of you who are living here very soon. So if you are watching me and you're a student, I have a lot for you guys. So keep watching. So if you are living abroad and you could even be a musician, you could be an artist, movie artist, you could be an engineer, you could be a surveyor, you don't have to be a doctor. You can be somebody who has studied any science, humanities. All these areas have various endorsing bodies looking out for applications that will warrant an approval from them. So once these applications have been made, the fees have been paid, approval has been granted, then as someone who is living abroad, for example, if you are from Ghana, where I come from, you can simply put in application online, and this application entitles you to come with your children and wife or girlfriend or partner. Now, let's look at how much this costs. Now, the application fee for the main applicant is as low as £156. And in fact, if you are migrating from the European Union, you pay as low as £97 application fee. It's almost free of charge. There is no immigration health surcharge for main applicant. However, if you are coming with dependents, you need to pay an application fee for each dependent about £608, and then immigration health surcharge. But hey, another distinction here, just as when we make application for those of you who have just come in to work for the care sector, the home care sector, you find out that most times either the employer have to certify maintenance, or you need to meet maintenance or financial requirement. With this particular scheme, there is no financial requirement. So 2 things to summarize: there is no English requirement, there is no financial requirement. Even if you are poor as church rat, you don't need to show any financial requirement. This means that this is a scheme that only considers just the talent of that individual in getting that approval, rather than the means or the resources available to that individual. So you could be somewhere in my village where I come from, and you will still be able to make this application. But of course, this has become a duty for me to expose some of these things so people can take advantage of it. Because this is a scheme that, as I have already said, I'm saying, looking at those of you living abroad, that is quite low in terms of cost of the application, in terms of getting approval from endorsing body, and also allows you to come with dependents. Now, if one is successful in this application and finally migrates to the UK with the entire family, then this person, as long as she has gotten this approval through the exceptional endorsing body, they will be entitled to make application for an indefinite leave to remain within 3 years of living continuously in the UK. 3 years, not 5 years. With a skilled worker visa, you normally have to live here minimum of 5 years continuously. In fact, in most cases, even with spouse visas, 5 years. Some of you have to be on a route, 10-year route. But tonight I'm not here. I am focusing, in fact, for the next few weeks, I'm going to be focusing on the various schemes of the skilled worker categories. It is not everybody who has been educated in order to take advantage of this scheme. There are the creative worker scheme. There are various categories of these schemes that I'm going to take my time to elaborate and educate viewers on this platform so that they can make use of the system that have been made available, because unemployment is falling so low. The labor market needs your services. We are experiencing an aging population. Somebody's have to come and fill that gap. Otherwise, we won't get appointment to the NHS. Sometimes you book an appointment and it gets cancelled all the time. Why? There's nobody to do the work. Right. So I am still continuing with my discussion on this global talent scheme, and I have been looking at those of you living abroad and how you can use your talent. I have said that there are various areas of field of studies that one can rely upon to seek approval from endorsing body. Just like people make application for student visas and then, they make application to universities and then they get a certificate of admission of studies and then they apply coming here. It is just a pirate scheme, but this time looking at everybody, looking at even those who are uneducated, because of course you can be an artist, you might not necessarily be educated, and that's why there is no English language requirement. And that's why there is no financial requirement. Because this is about that talent that you have that you want to display and getting approval from endorsing body. And you are not going to be tied to an employer who says that if you don't come work tomorrow, I'm going to report you to Home Office and then your visa will be revoked. You are not tied to any employer. And you're also going to get your indefinite leave to remain within 3 years. If you are coming from abroad. So at this point, I'm going to quickly look at those of you living here, those of you who are students, those of you who are on pre-study visa, those of you who are on various categories of visa. In fact, those of you who are even on healthcare worker visa, of categories of skilled worker visas. I'm going to look at that as the second part of my presentation tonight. But before I do that, it's always a pleasure to acknowledge viewers who are on this platform. And right, so let me quickly acknowledge viewers and then I will continue the second section of the show. So if you are on the platform and you want to be acknowledged, I want to urge you that if you put a comment out there, then of course it makes it easier for me. I can see that I have Anna Fusua who is watching. I have Gifty Chande who is also watching. I have Haija Salifu who is watching tonight. Anna Fusua is a good evening lawyer. I have Winfred Chatiana, is a well done Papa lawyer. Winfred, thank you too. I have Sophia Song, who is a regular member of this show. Sophia, I hope you are very well. Thank you for joining us tonight. I have Teka Ukpa Edwes, it's a good evening, everyone. I have Dingo Tafik. I hope I've mentioned your name properly. Good evening. He said, one of the best lawyers I know in the world. Wow, I feel flattered now. Right, I have Gifty Chandi. Right, so if you are on the show tonight, I have Dina Hayford. Dina Hayford is also watching us tonight. Thank you also for joining us. So, as I've said, if you have just joined tonight, I'm looking at something quite distinct, something unique, something that a scheme that allows individuals to get indefinite leave to remain within 3 years. That is what I'm looking at. So if you have joined me, I have been looking at those of you who are living abroad, how you can take advantage of this scheme and migrate to fill in the gap. Because most times I read the Financial Times in the mornings, and this morning I realized that the unemployment is so low. What it means is that there are so many jobs chasing few people. Vacancies are not being filled. So it means that somebody somewhere needs to come in. And because of the Brexit, my fellow EU friends, they can't come in because most of them cannot meet the English language requirement. And therefore, it's probably you out there somewhere, even in my village, who can speak this English. We can make an application to this endorsing body, who will probably end up being able to come and perform that tax. I have Feza Zenua. I have Gideon Antwi Atwahere. Oh, Mr. Antwi, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, so I have looked at those of you living abroad, those bright talents that are wallowing abroad. This scheme is something that you could look into it. It will assist you. In most times, most cases, even the time you use in making application for student visa and pay 9,000 and whatever. Now, I have looked at those people abroad, but obviously, when I'm looking at those students who are living in this country, those who are on student visa, those who are on various categories of visa, those who are, for example, on post-study visa, this scheme is equally available to you. And in fact, you guys are the most qualified candidates for even this scheme, because most of you have excelled in various fields. And in fact, you are already familiar with the system in terms of making application to get an admission to an university. Therefore, by extension, it is so easy for you to equally make application to somebody to get an approval, which then allows you to switch from that category of visa to that route that allows you to get indefinite leave to remain within a matter of 3 years. It's so interesting. And in fact, in all my practice for the past years of about 13 years, because since 2012, most cases, most people will have to be on a route for 10 years before they are able to get indefinite leave to remain. This is the only rule that I'm aware. I think somewhere in 2005, 2006, when people could just be spouse for 3 years and then they get indefinite leave to remain. Ever since, there have been gradual change and extension that now people have to be obviously 5 years even on the spouse visa route before they can get indefinite leave to remain. This route allows you to get indefinite leave to remain within a matter of 3 years. So I've looked at those of you living abroad who have to make this application online. You make this application, if you get approval straight away, you are entitled to come in with your family, which is dependents, children and spouse or partner. And then when you get in here, you are not tied to any employer. No one dictates to you when to come to work. In fact, you are your own boss. You can be self-employed. And above all, the only time that you need to show probably you are working is when you are making your application for your indefinite leave to remain, which I will lay down the requirements when I'm getting to the moribund stage of my submission. But for now, I'm looking at those who are living here now. Now, just like the skilled worker visa, most times I get these questions from people, and I always want to challenge people that, look, I speak facts, not fiction. If you look at the skilled worker route, and in fact, this particular global talent route that I'm just discussing here, there are categories of visas that if you have in this country, you are not allowed to switch. And I get these questions most of the time. Now, if you're on a visit visa, you can't switch to this scheme if you are in this country. If you're on diplomatic visa, you can't switch if you are in this country. If you are domestic assistant, somebody whom you were taking from maybe Dubai, from Ghana, because your boss is so rich, you came as a domestic assistant, you can't run away, you can't switch to this scheme. If you are a parent, remember some people are so rich that they bring their children here, so they have parent-student visa. So these parents have visas because their children are students. You can't also switch. So you have these categories of visas which has been listed. They are unable to switch unless they go abroad and make those applications and come in here. And I remember one of the clients that we dealt with quite recently. He came in with a visa, and then you became aware that, oh, he's able to make application to become a healthcare worker. And when I advised him to go back, he was a bit reluctant. But eventually, he only spent just a matter of less than 3 weeks. And he had a visa and he's back in this country and he's still working. So most time when you ask people to go back, make some of these applications, they are quite reluctant. But the fact is that if whoever is assisting you knows the law, then it's cast iron that you always find your way back here. Right. So if you are on any of these categories of visas, you can switch. So sadly, you are not one of those people who can switch if you are here. However, if you are on a student visa, if you are on post-study visa, if you are even on a spouse visa, any categories of visa that gives you right to be here, in fact, it allows you to switch. So you guys also have to make this application, just as I explained to those who are living abroad, to make this application to the endorsing body and get approval. Now, once approval has been granted, it then means that you will have the right to make application to be granted that leave for yourself and any other dependent. And by this I mean children under the age of 18 and spouse or partner. Again, The application fee is the same, 156. And for those of you from Europe, yours is as low as £97. And the actual application fee for seeking approval from an endorsing body is £456. Again, if you are living here, you are equally not tied to any employer. And you are free to do the following. You can be self-employed, you can be employed, you can study full-time, part-time. And you will be able to switch from that student visa without being called upon to attend lectures even now and then, because you can decide to study on part-time basis. So this is a scheme. I personally know a family friend who has given has had one of these visas on this global talent visa. So this is a scheme that, and he was also here to study as well, and he managed to switch it to that category. So this is something that students sometimes also have to tell their mind towards that area and be sure that there could be light from that tunnel. So again, there is, even if you are living here, one, there is no English requirement, there is no financial or maintenance requirement, and you don't pay as a main applicant immigration health surcharge, except that if you are dependent, then application fee is £608 plus immigration health surcharge. So you realize that this allows students and those with all restrictions in other categories of visas. And in fact, if you are here as on a skilled worker visa, remember, sometimes some of the candidates that we brought, sometimes when there are issues, I always advise them, you need to always have a mutual amicable relationship with your employer, because they have so much powers. Home Office has given them so much powers that they can simply report you to Home Office and your visa will be cancelled within 28 days. Just as the students, the schools normally send report and then the visas are revoked or curtailed. But this particular category of visa, you are your own boss. No one reports you. You decide to be self-employed. You decide to be employed. And in fact, there is no restriction whatsoever in terms of you being in full-time studies or part-time studies. This is the nature of visa category that equally allows you to be able to apply for indefinite leave to remain within 3 years. However, when making an application, I have already said that there is no financial requirements for the initial application. There is no English language requirement, but this I mean that you don't have to demonstrate that you can do the speaking, listening, and all that. However, if you are applying for indefinite leave to remain, after showing that you have satisfied or your approval was granted by exceptional endorsing body, and it means that at this particular time, when you are applying for indefinite leave to remain, you know that everyone knows that you need to have obviously satisfied the life in UK requirement, and then you also have to satisfy English language requirement. So this is the route that I have brought to viewers tonight. This is the category of visa that somebody out there far away from England, living somewhere in Ghana or Accra, may be able to take advantage of. Most times I put most of this information on our platform. You can follow it up. So I have already given the. I have Isiaba Nana Akwasi, who have also joined us. I have Nanama Makukumi, who is also watching tonight. I have Kwasi Zega, who is also watching tonight. I have Okafor Dominic Chioma, and Senior Cook, who is also watching. Gideon, I think I've already acknowledged you. Great. So I have more or less explained most of the stuff already, but to summarize, probably one will be wondering, I've said so much about this, which people actually qualify. I've said that if you are in any of these fields, for example, science, engineering, humanities, social science, medicine, not doctors, we are not talking about digital technology, arts and culture. I remember when we were in University of Ghana, we used to go for dance class, Balungu. All these people can demonstrate this exceptional talent, and they don't have to meet English language requirement. We have the arts and culture, we have fashion, those who, we have a lot of tailors and seamstresses. If you have exceptional talent in this area, we have film and television. Because of Facebook, we have a lot of guys who are into all these things. So you don't have to be academically inclined. You just have to be exceptional in what you do, and then being able to persuade the endorsing body to get an approval. And that allows you to come to the UK with your entire family, which is the dependents. So that's what I've been discussing tonight. So you realize that this is quite distinct from the skilled worker route that we've been dealing with for some time now. Going forward, I know that I have discussed so much about this healthcare worker visa, but I'm going to take my time because there are various categories of skilled worker visas. There are those who don't need to even meet any essential requirement. For the next few weeks, I'm going to take my time to take viewers through it, because whether you accept it or not, we deal with numerous cases, and we know the amount of people that we are getting skilled workers visas for them, including the healthcare worker visas, because there is a labor shortage. And the Financial Times, as I said when I was reading this morning, clearly confirmed that in fact, the unemployment is low, not because of any other reason, other than the fact that we are having an aging population, and the fact that after COVID, most people have become bored from furlough. They couldn't be bothered to come back to work because most of them are almost at the pension age. So people need to fill this gap. And to make matters worse, the EU citizens have been blocked. I have most of them calling me sometimes how they can say coming here. You can't come in here. You need to go through the skilled worker route. So you are just like somebody coming from Ghana. And this is why. And again, if I look at the statistics, you realize that movement of people from the European Union has reduced drastically after the Brexit. But you realize that migration of those from other countries outside the European Union, in terms of Ghana, India, China, and all that, including even students, realize that it has increased so high. This is because whilst one area has been blocked because of Brexit, there is still a need for gaps to be filled. Therefore, those of you guys out there needs to come in and fill this gap. And the advantage is that most of you are graduates and are taught in English, and therefore you have essential skills to satisfy most of these requirements. Whilst those who are even engineers in Spain or Germany will still have major difficulty and a hurdle of coming in here because of the requirements that have been laid out there. I remember Lestras was once saying that he is going to look at the English language requirement quite properly. So we don't know what will change very soon. But for now, you guys out there have the ball. You need to kick it. So it's been quite a privilege to have you on this platform. At this point, I'm just going to advertise our sponsor. And as I do always, if anybody have any legal question, this is your opportunity to ask that question. And I'm going to put the phone lines on the screen. if you have any question you want to ask me, I'm going to be here to assist you. I always say that I'm not a doctor. I can't give any prescription or diagnosis. I'm not a family mediator because I can't assist with putting your family together. I'm not a pharmacist. I can't give any prescription. But there's one thing that I know the law and I'm competent in the area that I practice. So I'm here tonight to give you this free legal advice. And the phone lines are now open. You can see the phone lines on the screen. So if you have any legal question, as I advertise our sponsor, CITI Law Solicitors, you're free to phone in. If you send in any message, again, I am here to answer. I want to make this remark that I noticed that sometimes a lot of people, while somebody called last time, fortunately I managed to take the call. These studio lines are only used whenever we are in this studio. If you want to call us after I've left here, I'm going to give you the phone line, but you can also see the scrolling graphic, which is our office telephone number and contact details. They are all there. So once I've left this studio, if you call the studio line, sadly, nobody is going to answer. But if you always call that office line, my competent colleagues are ready to assist. Now, this program is proudly sponsored by CITI Law Solicitors. CITI Law Solicitors, we specialize in numerous areas of law. We specialize in immigration, which is what I have just done here. This is what they call either business migration, because we are looking at filling the gaps for businesses. And then we have the family route, which is spouse, children trying to come in as wife and children. And the conservative government is not much in favor of that one. So this is when we put in application for your wife or husband. It can be in there for almost 8 months without even getting results. If you put in a skilled worker visa application, trust me, it takes 5 days. They said 3 weeks. But in most cases, we are getting results within 3 to 5 days. Visas being issued to candidates or applicants from abroad. If you are making it from here, then of course within 8 weeks, sometimes it could take a bit longer because they have introduced this premium service. People need to pay more to get fast-track service. So, immigration is an area that we specialize in. We say dealing with EU cases, we say dealing with appeal cases, we say dealing with judicial review cases, we say dealing with skilled worker applications. Those of you out there who want to get licenses for your businesses, we are getting licenses for people. People are bringing in 40 candidates, 50 candidates. We are here assisting them to fill those gaps. Trust me, we are getting licenses for people. So if you know anybody who has a care company, who have a CQC license and is struggling to fill the gap, winter, that is when they run out of staff because most people feel cold. You have a lot of people falling sick, and you need more workers. We are getting licenses for these businesses. So CITI Law Solicitors will welcome you if you want to take advantage of our service in this immigration. Employment law, this is what I enjoy most personally. Most cases when people are dismissed unfairly, when there is discrimination at the workplace. Just a few days ago, the interesting part is that sometimes you look at your client's case, you realize that there is a lot of weakness, but the employer doesn't want to struggle with the lawyer, and they said because of commercial reason, we want to settle. That's the part that I enjoy most. So hey guys, if you have had any employment problem, if you're unfairly dismissed, you've suffered bullying and harassment at the workplace, discrimination, Equality Act 2010 breaches in terms of people who are either pregnant or maternity, race discrimination, those of you with some form of disability who have been denied reasonable adjustment, our employment law department is waiting to assist you. family law, I say that we are not just solicitors, we are family law accredited. What it means is that we are the peak of the practice when it comes to family law, because we have accreditation in the family law, and we specialize in both the public aspect and then the private aspect. Those of you who have had issues and you are tired of your relationship, you want to go your separate way, we are here to assist you when it comes to the financial orders. If you are being deprived of the opportunity to see your child or your children, we can assist you to get child arrangement order in place. If you have suffered domestic abuse, I always repeat it here that domestic abuse is now a criminal offense. So again, we are here to assist you to get non-molestation order or occupation order to take that abuser from that property. So we are here to assist you in this family law area of the law. Personal injury and clinical negligence, this is an area that sometimes takes a long time, but hey, obviously, if you have a strong case, if you ever had accident, either a motor accident or accident at the workplace or accident at a public place that was not your fault, again, we are here to assist you to give some form of compensation for you, and most of these cases are done on conditional fee basis. Hey, lest I forget, even the employment cases, I do it on no conditional fee basis. I get the compensation for you, and then you just give City Law Solicitors a percentage of whatever compensation you've been paid. So personal injury, we equally do it on conditional fee basis, which means that if we lose together. If we win the case, we smile together. Those of you who have been following us, you saw that just last week, even housing law, we specialize in the landlords and tenants. Our client was almost evicted. We ended up being successful in keeping him there and getting him some form of compensation, which is in the pipeline. So we are here to serve the community. We are not here to just solve only immigration problems. In fact, city law is a one-stop, because your employment is covered, your personal injury is covered, your immigration is covered, and your family law dispute is covered. This is the place, only law firm that you can get all your problems solved, one touch. Commercial dispute, those of you who are being owed by people who have refused to pay. Sometimes people feel that if they owe someone, because it's not a criminal offense in this country, they don't want to pay. Come and instruct us, we'll collect that money for you. If you have made a purchase and they are free to deliver, come and see us, we'll chase that person for you. Consumer law, which is insurance companies trying to wriggle out of claims and all that. Again, you guys know I enjoy consumer law. So, if you have any of these issues and you want to come to us, our doors are always open. Myself and my competent colleagues are ever ready to assist you. Yes, so if any of you have mixed any part of this program, or you find it very exciting and insightful, I want to say that this program or this show will be on our Facebook City Law Solicitors platform, City Media TV, and my own personal profile, Thomas Bebo, and our YouTube channel, which most of you have shown keen interest in it. You can continue to watch it again and again, just like that woman who called today and said that when he listened to our free advice from YouTube on adoption, she felt that everything he was looking for was in there for her. This is what City Law Solicitors brings to you. To make law quite affordable, to make it easy that anything that you don't understand in your mind, you can go to our platform. All the programs are captioned there. You go through it, you listen to it, and you can have free legal advice. We are serving the community. We are making the community a better place to live by making people aware of their legal rights. This is what City Law brings to you. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me tonight. At this point, I'm going to end the show. It's obvious that everything I've discussed tonight has been quite fruitful. People have understood it. I've not had anyone to phone in. Let me see on Facebook if there is anybody who has put any question out. I have Joe Chaka, who is going to be here tomorrow. I have Rachel Oparibia, who is also watching tonight. Guys, I've been very grateful for all of you who have turned up tonight. May God richly bless you. And see you tomorrow for our tree session, which will be hosted by MC Chaka, your competent MC and DJ, who will be here to host the show in tree. God bless you. God bless you.